Hi, I'm Stephanie Laska. I lost 140 pounds and created Dirty Lazy Keto. Thanks for joining me here on the YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe and enjoy the show. Advice. Worst. That's a way to start. Worst advice breaking a weight loss stall. That's our topic today. Worst. I like that because we're going to know what to watch out for. Like worst advice. We don't want that one bit, do we? Worst advice about breaking a keto weight loss stall. Now, please give me a thumbs up. Please give me a thumbs up if you have ever experienced a keto weight loss stall, on your journey, because I think it's pretty common. I'll give myself a thumbs up because it has happened to me, not just once, but it happens, people. And I know that it can be frustrating. So please give me a thumbs up to let me know that you have experienced that and that this topic applies to you. And if you want, you can be really daring and tell me what happened or a little more details in the comments. You can tell the group because I think we can all learn from one another. But here's the situation. We have a weight loss stall, we have a keto plateau, and then we're down in the dumps. And then inevitably we ask people for help, right? Because that's normal. But people sometimes give you the worst advice on the whole planet for how to break that weight loss stall. Is that true? Because I know that's happened. Now, I want you to, here it comes. I want you to beware. To beware, because these things happen and, you have to be on the lookout for some of this bad advice. Amen, right? And some of you may be like, well, I don't know what to look out for because, I'm just asking for help and people tell me things and how do I know if it's right or not? So that's why I put together the slides today and this piece of information. I want to give you 6 pieces of bad advice to be on the lookout for, 6 of them. And each of these are things that you can avoid in your life. And not only will I explain why I think it's bad advice, but I'm going to explain what I think might be better. So I'll give you some better advice to follow, the good advice. And these are actual tips that helped me lose the 140 pounds, keep that weight off for a decade, and brought me to you today. And the tips I'm going to share with you are real world. They're practical. They're not theory. It's not like, oh yeah, I read in this book, it said you got to do babe. No, these are actual things that I tried and true I've done. This is me losing the weight. So you can know that I'm speaking from my heart. I'm not going to lead you down the wrong path and just say, oh yeah, scientists say you should do this. We're going to look out for these 6 specific areas of bad advice, and then I'm going to sub it out with something I think you should do with some recommendations. And this is all how I lost the 140 pounds with Dirty Lazy Keto. Okay? You're excited, I can tell. Yes? Can I get a... Is everybody awake? I can't hear you out there. So this is bad advice, right? Here's the first one. First piece of bad advice that I hear a lot from people out there in the world, especially as it relates to stalls and plateaus. People will say this, oh, you're having a stall? You're having a break? Well, it's because keto doesn't work forever. You should try something else for a while. Has anyone ever heard that piece of advice? It's terrible advice, isn't it? Oh yeah, keto doesn't work forever. Now, keep in mind that I feel like this is flip-flop advice. So keep this in mind. I think this is terrible advice. I call it flip-flop advice because it is definitely going to sabotage your mindset. It's going to sabotage you. Now, you may want to hear it. See, that's the tricky part. Sometimes we hear things like this and we are like, oh, maybe she's right. Maybe I should try something else for a little while. And then before you know it, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy and you're pouring yourself a big bowl of cereal or, getting out some foods that actually include real sugar because you're like, oh, well, it doesn't work forever. I'm going to try something else. And then the next thing you're going crazy and things are happening and you're having junk food maybe or high carb food because, there are programs out there like, I'm not going to name names, but they have you counting points and then they say, oh yeah, you can have anything you want, but just count the points. Well, I don't really think that that's going to be very helpful to you. In my opinion, in my experience, losing 140 pounds and helping so many other people around the world, sugar, flour, and junk food, high carb foods, these foods are inflammatory. They cause all sorts of haywire problems in our bodies. Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments what you think. If you think I'm telling the truth, truth? Can I get a bell? Tell me what your opinion is on this, because I feel like trying to eat some of these foods in moderation is going to be a backfire for people like us. I'm holding up my fire. My flame. Here it is. Because for people like me, I don't know if applies to you, but when I try to go down that path, you know what I'm talking about, experimenting with moderation, having little bits of cake, little bits of ice cream, little bits of chips, or all that garbage. All of a sudden it backfires. I got my big flame coming up, and I end up overeating, gaining weight, and then heading down a terrible path in life. Is that true for you? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to spin the wheel here because I'm curious what you guys are all saying. Woo, woo, we're spinning, and I'll pick some folks at random to win a prize. Oh, and it's going to be a fridge magnet. This is great. I'm so excited that this is the prize today because the Dirty Lazy Keto fridge magnet is going to be a great visual representation of how I recommend you divvy up your carbs for the day to maximize weight loss. And it's a nice little color pyramid. It's in all the books, but it's really helpful to have it on a large scale visual image on the fridge, on the pyramid. So if you'd like to win this, let me know in the comments. I think it can be super helpful. So tell me in the comments, did anyone write, yes, I agree, Stephanie, it backfires. I'm looking, it's a slippery slope. Inflammation is a real thing. Yes, look at this. Okay, and people love the magnet that have one. Okay. Yes, and people are talking about parasitic arthritis, inflammation, joint pain. Yeah, amen. I'm loving this. Everyone is on board with this. Sciatica, I'm probably saying it wrong. You absolutely are right. You're telling me the same thing that I see when I'm out there talking to folks is that trying something else, trying this quote unquote flip-flop approach, the flip-flop approach ends up to be a total nightmare. And down the road, people end up with joint problems. They're immobile, right? You end up with obesity-related conditions, like not being able to get around, not being able to have energy. Folks end up with sleeping issues like sleep apnea or terrible snoring or just indigestion, heartburn, especially when they're laying down, right? All those foods that we used to eat end up causing trouble. They end up making a lot of folks end up with diabetes type 2. Or other conditions that require medication, high blood pressure, etc. So tell me if you agree with me that eating foods that cause inflammation, like sugar, flour, and high carb foods, tell me if you agree that they cause a boatload of trouble, because that's my experience. So that is all terrible advice about trying to switch off keto, that keto doesn't work anymore. That's all part of number one. I completely think that's the worst advice on the planet. And instead, I recommend don't flip-flop. If you're experiencing a stall, here's what you need to do. You ready? Write it down. Keep at it. Be consistent. Don't give up. Stay positive. Keep at it. Keep at it. One foot in front of the other. I'll keep with the flip-flop analogy. One foot in front of the other and just keep at it. If you're at a stall, well, you might take a few more steps down the road in the same direction before things turn around. And that's okay. Sometimes your body just has to get used to things because your body's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What is happening? I know when I was losing like roughly 10 pounds a month for a year and a half, there were times my body was like, what is happening? Like it just had to get used to it. So sometimes there'd be breaks and I wouldn't lose that same amount one month, or I'd lose more the next or less than that next month, or you know what I'm saying? There'd be some inconsistencies because our bodies are not like machines where you just input this and output that. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Plus there's hormones and yada, yada, yada. All things considered, just be consistent. Monitor those net carbs to stay in ketosis, and you will get back into that weight loss, fat burning mode, and then you'll end up with the results that you're looking for. That was all number one. I know that was a big speech, but I always like to put my most exciting one first before I get to number two, which is also exciting. But number one tends to be the one I'm most passionate about. You'll see that in all my videos and presentations. So number two, on a similar note, this is very similar to the, try a different diet for a while, flip-flop. Number two, a lot of people will say, you might have heard this, again, fulfilling prophecy. People say, have a cheat day, right? They want you to stick with the keto diet, but they say, have a cheat day. Oh my gosh, have a cheat day. Have you ever heard that one? Have you? I know, it seems crazy, right? But people get excited to hear that. They're like, really? Oh my gosh, this is the best day of my life. Like balloons are going, like bells are ringing. Hallelujah. People are singing and dancing because they're told to have a cheat day. Okay, I will be the sad bearer of real news Here's the big horn. That's a terrible idea. It's the worst advice ever. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is similar to what I was just saying for the last number one, is I'm pulling out my caution tape here, is that for many of us, heading down the path of a cheat day, even if it's just a bump in carbs, it can cause complete chaos, danger, out of control behavior. No, to be dead serious for a minute, I know for me and for a lot of you guys listening out there, eating high carb foods, it triggers increased cravings. It might trigger binge behavior. That's hard to control. That's hard to stop. Because it's like, I haven't had ice cream in so long. I haven't had chips in so long. And then the next thing you know, it's like, I need like a there's my It triggers just this complete breakdown of society where all rules are thrown out the window. And before you know it, a cheat day becomes a cheat month, becomes a cheat year, et cetera, et cetera. Do you agree with me on this one? I want to read something to you that I feel like applies to this. And this is on page 190 to 191. It's in my copy here of Dirty Lazy Keto Get Started. So if you have that, you can refer to it. It's on page 190 to 191. I want to read a couple of these bullets to you. It says, dun, 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 dun. This is a great book if you're just getting started, by the way, or need a kick in the pants. Here's what it goes. The rationalization of cheating, because we all love to hear you should cheat, because that's a fun thing to hear. A lot of people go down this whole mindset in their brain. They start saying stuff like, I deserve this. You only live once. Holidays don't count. It's my birthday. I've had a bad day. I can go to the gym later to burn this off. I deserve a treat. Oh, there's nothing else I can eat. Oh, I'm so busy. I can't deal with this today. I need a break once in a while. I'll start tomorrow. Oh, having a cheat day will help me stay on track with the diet later. I'll just have a little bit. It's a buffet. I got to get my money's worth. Oh, this holiday, this event, this yada yada won't be special unless I eat this. And the list goes on, and the whole chapter goes on, all about having a cheat day. And some warnings that I want you to consider when you're headed down that direction or someone's giving you that terrible advice. There's my big giant warning sign. Additionally, something else that might help you. Put this all in perspective. Also in the same book, in Dirty Lazy Keto Get Started, head over to page 185. Because on 185, there's this beautiful chart, and it's called Rethink the Cheat. And it puts everything we're saying here into perspective. It's wonderful to put a tab on this, to highlight it in your copy. Rethink the Cheat, and it walks through the excuses that a lot of people tend to tell themselves, especially when they're hearing that bad advice from a friend or a family member or even someone in a support group. It doesn't feel right, but you know you want to hear it, so you pretend like it's correct. Right? I hit that one on the head. So keep that in mind. That's on page 185. And I hope that you have this book. It's a USA Today bestseller. It's helped thousands upon thousands of people all over the world. It's even available in Russia. Thank you very much. I just found that out. So if you're in Russia, you can pick up a copy. And the US and Canada and Germany and the United Kingdom, wherever you're at, Australia, New Zealand, anywhere. It's available. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to take off my caution tape there. I think I hit that nail on the head, didn't I? Did I drive that one home? What are your thoughts on that? I'll pause and say, do you agree? What are your thoughts? I want you to comment because I want to give out some prizes. Oh, a lot of people want that magnet. I see a lot of comments today. Keep it up. Yes, okay, a lot of people are agreeing. Cheating makes you feel hungrier than usual. It's like going down a rabbit hole. Love that. Love that. Amen, right? We are on the same track, it sounds like. And it's okay to disagree with me too. I'd like to have a conversation today and hear your thoughts. This is just the bad advice that I wanted to call out specifically. Let's move on to number three. Number three, because I have 6 areas I wanted to shed light on today. And number 3, this is one thing I've heard from people. They'll say, oh, you're having a keto weight loss stall. You're at a plateau. This is what you should do. Cut back on protein. Cut back on protein. Has anyone ever told you that? And they might even go further. You notice I put my chicken hat on? You're welcome. Making you laugh. Trying to be memorable. But some people will say to you, if you're having a weight loss stall, you should definitely cut back on protein because you're probably overeating protein and all that excess protein is turning into glucose and that's throwing you out of ketosis. It's turning into sugar, blah, 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 blah. Has anyone heard that one? Or is that an unusual one? I do hear that one quite a bit and it does throw people for a loop. Now, here's my opinion on that. Ready? I should have a, here's my gong. Gong. Here's my gong. I need a gong. If you ever see one, let me know. Here's my opinion on cutting back on protein. I would say no, because overeating protein is probably not true for most people. Now, I understand this isn't a blanket statement I'm able to make for the whole wide world, but for most people that are just eating normal protein stuff like chicken, beef, they are not the folks that really need to freak out and worry about this. Now, if you are eating protein bars all day and protein powders and amino acid powders and etc., that might be a whole different situation. But if you're just eating regular food, I doubt that overeating protein is your problem. I'm just going to take a guess. Now, here's my giant egg. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? But seriously, yes, it's true that overeating protein could perhaps turn into excess glucose. Now, I'm going to admit that, but for most people, I don't think it's true. I think most people need more protein in their diet, and they could experiment with eating more protein, a giant egg, chicken. They could experiment a little bit with eating more protein in every meal. I'll hold up some turkey bacon, hold up some Greek yogurt, high-fat yogurt, Fage. Eating more protein in every meal most likely will help you to curb those hunger cravings so that you're eating less. It'll round out your meals, make you fuller, keep you feeling fuller for longer. It's part of the big three concept that I described in Extra Easy Keto for helping you make this whole lifestyle more simple. That's Extra Easy Keto, the big three. So make sure you are checking some of these tips I'm giving you. Make sure you're eating enough protein at every meal. And also, speaking of Extra Easy Keto, if you have your copy, there's a wonderful cheat sheet. I love cheat sheets, don't you? And it's on page 103. So if you have that, I made all these fun little charts for you with graphics. I love that. I love graphics. High protein hit list. And it has all the top performers when it comes to high protein foods and the serving size. Because so much stuff on Pinterest and all that, it'll be like, oh yes, eat this, eat that. But it doesn't say the serving size. That's not helpful. You can't just eat, unlimited amounts of stuff and expect it to work. You have to know how much to eat, right? Or how much is going to give you that amount of net carbs. Additionally, on page 105, there is a chart that goes 1, 2, 3 pages, and it's all high protein, low carb foods in order. And it explains the meat or the protein, the seafood, the type of food, and then the amount of protein it contains, the amount of net carbs it contains, and also serving size. And that chart, again, is on page 105 all the way to 107. So super duper helpful. You got to know where to go to get that protein. I think that is a game changer. Let me know what you think about that one. I'll pause. It's so hard to pause. But anyway, I'll pause and let you type in the comments what your opinion is on that tip. If that is a good one, if you agree, if you disagree, if you've tried it, let me know. We'll move on to number 4 meanwhile, because I don't want to keep you all day. But number 4, here's a tip or a bad tip that I hear a lot. This is terrible advice in my opinion. Here it comes. You ready? This is what people will say, especially in support groups. Out of the blue, people you've never met before that have no credentials, they haven't done anything successful, they haven't written a book, they don't have a blog, they're not scientists, they haven't lost 1 million pounds themselves, but they claim to know everything. Those people annoy me. If you've lost the weight, then you tell me your experience. But if you haven't lost the weight and you haven't kept it off a long time, then I'm not really sure if your advice means the same as somebody else who is a dirty, lazy keto rock star, who've lost the weight, who've kept it off, and who are there to help mentor others and share their positive experiences. Anyway, I know I get off in these little rants, don't I? Gotta rein it in. But all along with number 4, folks will say this bad advice. They'll say, oh, just start eating more fat. Fat. Eat more fat. That's how you lose weight. Have you heard that one before? Mm-hmm. I have too. Let me know if I have lipstick on my teeth. It happens. So I'm holding up MCT oil, which I don't use. Some people do, but I don't. I have no taste for it. No, thank you. But anyway, a lot of people will just eat fat for fat's sake, having spoonfuls of coconut oil, spoonfuls of things like this in their coffee, even though they think it's disgusting and they don't like it. Instead of doing that, I'll make a recommendation. I think this will help you get further in life. And this is a blanket statement about fat going forward that will help you lose weight and keep it off. Use your fat to make healthy food taste better instead of eating it for fat's sake. You might want to rewind that, write it down. Don't eat fat for fat's sake, but use fat to make healthy food taste better. It's one of my tenets. And I'll give you an example in case you're wondering, what is she talking about? What does that mean exactly? Here's an example. You're spending some carbs, some of your net carbs spent on celery, and then you pair it with a fat. Here's an example of a fat, cream cheese. Now, this is a healthy carb that's got bang for a buck. It's got the high fiber. It's got nutrition. It's going to fill you up. It's going to taste good. And then you're making it taste better, i.e. tolerable for some. And all of a sudden, it tastes a lot better, and you're doing a better job with your veggies. Because you got to eat the veggies. That's really the secret to weight loss, sustainable weight loss anyway, and happiness and health. It really is. I know the sooner you get over it, the better. But as soon as you embrace this tip about using fat to make healthy food taste better, as opposed to fat just like eating keto ice cream, I think you will break that stall and be very successful. Now, if you want more ideas about how to eat more veggies and more tricks, I will team up I will place a link to watch the next video, which will be called Tricks to Eat More Vegetables on the Keto Diet. It's on my channel. So tricks to eat more vegetables on the keto diet. I'll put that up next so you can just focus on that topic and really get into it. Okay, moving on. We're doing good, right? Can I get a gold star for going faster today? Let's go on to number 5 because we have 6 to go, 6 total, and we're at number 5. Here's a tip a lot of folks will say. Now, mind you, this is advice I think is not so good. I'm holding up a numbered pillow here because a lot of people will start saying, oh, you need to start counting calories. Have you heard that one? I think that's terrible advice, personally. They're like, oh, well, not only should you be obsessed about your meal plan and your water and your exercise and your steps and your fat and your protein and your net carbs. Now, on top of it all, you must also count your calories to lose weight or to break a stall. Now, I think this is like a right? Here's my I think this is too much. Okay, first of all, the keto diet tends to be higher in calories, and that's okay. It does tend to be higher in calories. So counting calories is going to freak people out. They're going to be like, oh my God, back in 1987, I was told not to eat more than 1,200 calories a day, and blah, 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 blah. And now here I am, I'm observing my calories on keto, and it's out of control. And then people are just flustered and overwhelmed, and then before you know it, they quit because they can't imagine what is going on. This is the weirdest lifestyle, the weirdest way of eating. I can't believe it's going to help me, and then their brain just freaks out. So let go of that whole concept of counting calories. I really feel like you should put that out of your brain. And instead, this is what I want you to do. Instead, focus on net carbs. That's it. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. I need a simple button. Here's my, that was easy. You need to keep it easy. Keep it easy and simple, right? And that is the whole tenet of lazy keto. It's like, keep it simple. Don't be upset. Don't be stressed about so many things. Take a chill pill and just focus on those net carbs. Now, here's what I want you to do. If you're having a stall, instead of counting calories, just start flipping every package of every single thing you eat. Start reading those labels again, or for the first time, for those of you who haven't ever done it. But flip your packages over and start really investigating what it is you're eating. You want to look at this product label. Here I've got some Atkins Indulge candies, which are quite tasty, by the way. But you look on the back and you say to yourself, what is the serving size? And you might want to circle that because that's important information. You're going to look at that serving size. You are going to look at the number of total carbohydrates. You are going to subtract the amount of dietary fiber, if any. And then you will also subtract sugar alcohols, if any. The net amount is your net carbs. Got it? I know that's a lot for you to take in if you haven't been doing this. And that's why I spent a whole chapter in Extra Easy Keto explaining the process. This is just a postcard to show you the cover. But Extra Easy Keto, I walk through the whole thing with little scenarios and quizzes, and I break it down, and I go super slow, and I explain everything in the label. But it's all in there in Extra Easy Keto if you need help with that. You'll also notice here in the back of my product, I used black marker. I had a black marker here for dramatic effect to show you. But I like to go through my cabinet, especially when I'm having a spell or a rough spot or I'm having trouble focusing. Go through the whole cabinet and write how many net carbs is in everything that's in there. Also write down the serving size. For this, it's 1 piece of candy. 1 piece. 1. That's sad. Right? 1 piece of candy sad. But you need to know that. Otherwise, people get into these habits like, Pinterest or something online. They say, oh, I can have ice cream for 3 net carbs. And then you're eating the whole tub, not realizing that you were supposed to stop at a half cup or something. So make sure you're keeping track. Another thing that I think is very helpful when it comes to counting your net carbs is to have a food list. If you don't have that information in front of you, you don't have the nutrition label. Let's say it's Brussels sprouts. That doesn't come on the little plastic bag in the grocery store. There's a lot of foods that are not included in a nutrition label. So for those, or if you just don't want to look it up, check the extensive food list here in Extra Easy Keto. It's all in here. It's like 15, 20 pages. All the information is right here at your fingertips. And this one is updated. If you have Dirty Lazy Keto, that has a food list as well. It's 16 pages, but this one's been updated. It's a couple years fresher. So it has new, more accurate data because products change. Make sure to choose, along these same lines, quality carbs, right? Because you're tracking net carbs, but choose high quality carbs. I alluded to like keto ice cream and those keto chips and all that kind of stuff. Yes, some of these tend to be lower in carbs, but instead of counting calories, just ask yourself, is this the highest quality net carb product I can give to my body? Could this be why I'm having a weight loss stall or a keto plateau? And then maybe substitute out some higher quality carbs with high fiber, more nutrition, and see if that helps you break your stall. Because sometimes there's weird fillers in these products like tapioca, flour, starch, the tortillas, the breads, the chips, the granola bars, the cookies, the ice cream, all the keto stuff. It's got tricky things going on in there that might be messing you up. So swap those out and keep track of your net carb spend. Write it down on a piece of paper. If you want to use the carb trackers that I provide on my website, here's 2 examples of the free ones you can download at dirtylazyketo.com/carb, C-A-R-B, -tracker, T-R-A-C-K-E-R. So I'll hold that up so you can see it. It's dirtylazyketo.com, hopefully you can see it, /carb-tracker. If you don't want to go to my website and try to figure all that out and print them out, there are 2 different kinds you can print out for free. If you don't want to do that, you can always just open up your copy of, once again, Extra Easy Keto because it's inside, okay? Or you can just use a sticky note. You don't have to be complicated. Just get out a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be so hard. Don't overthink it. The whole point is to keep track of those net carbs in every single way possible. That's how you are going to break your stall and start losing weight again. That's number 5. You're like, amen. Can I get a... That's a good one, right? Do you agree? Tell me your thoughts on number 5. I love that one because it's like, it's serious. Let's move on to number 6. This is our last tip. Last piece of terrible advice I don't want you to do, and then I'll provide you with what I think is a better idea. Now, number 6, there's some bad advice out there, and it's someone who's going to say to you, oh, here's what you got to do. This is number 6. You must, here's my little clock. You must. That's always a bad sign when people say you must. You must do intermittent fasting. You must do fasting to break your stall or to lose weight on the keto diet. You must. Okay, anytime anyone says must, that's a red flag. Plain and simple. My experience with fasting or intermittent fasting, which let's just level set, it just means not eating for an extended period of time. My experience talking about it with others and myself is that it works for some people, but not everyone. It works for some people, but for not everyone. I don't like to think of intermittent fasting or fasting as a one-size-fits-all experience. So I'm holding up my scarf here as a visual aid because scarves are one-size-fits-all, right? Everyone wears the same size scarf. Fasting is kind of like that. It might work for some people, it might not work for others. Don't feel like it has to work for you. Because for some people, it's a terrible idea. It's terrible advice. A lot of people will freak out when they're told they can't eat. And does that sound like you? And that's okay. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. And you're not doing anything terrible. You're not following, not going to lose weight because you're not doing it. But for a lot of us, just keep in mind that being told they can't eat for even a little bit of time, it can cause rebellion. Here's my handcuffs. You like that? Because it can, right? Like, I don't know. The other day I was having, what was it? I've had a few things lately where I couldn't eat, like dental work. I've had blood work, blah, 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 blah. I even did a DNA test the other day. And all those things required me to not eat for a little while. And it really freaked me out. And I was like, oh, that's all I could think about. And my mind's racing and my mouth is watering. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even have a drink of water for that DNA test. And it made me freak out and panic. And then guess what can happen to some people? They can become absolutely miserable, stressed out, obsessive about it, thinking about it nonstop. It can take over their mind. Here's my sad face. Misery, feelings of resentment might build. Or worse, people might start planning on ways they are going to eat like crazy once that period of non-eating is over with. Has that ever happened to you? Because if it has, that's okay. It's okay. I want to remind you of that. It's totally okay if fasting or intermittent fasting is not the best advice for you. That's okay. You can still lose weight. You can still keep it off. You can still be successful. Now, all that's really happening when you are going through those windows of time is that you're not eating net carbs, right? There's no carbs in your system. So it allows your body to burn through any existing carbs that might be floating around in the system and then switch over to ketosis. Now, if you were in ketosis before on a keto diet and you were being successful, so you understand how the ketosis process works, but now you're finding yourself in a stall, here is my better advice for you, rather than freaking out about the clock and the windows and all that. Here's my better advice. In my opinion, it might be time for you to recalibrate the amount of net carbs you're eating to stay in ketosis. I'm pulling out a ruler here, but I want you to recalibrate. That may not be the 100% surefire answer, but it sure could help, right? You might need to change it up a little bit. Before, you might have been eating X number of carbs. But once you've lost weight and you're in a new, let's say, tax bracket, so to speak, the amount of net carbs you can spend while maintaining in ketosis, that fat burning state, is going to be different than maybe it was 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago. I certainly, during my journey, I showed you this picture of losing 140 pounds. I didn't always eat the same amount of net carbs. That window, that like tax bracket, if you will, it shifts and changes over time. I'll let that sink in because you're like, well, how many do I eat? I know that's your next question, but I cannot tell you because it's not a one-size-fits-all answer. And I go into that in detail in Extra Easy Keto. So if you haven't read that, I explain the whole process of calibration and things that you need to consider when picking out the right amount of food for you. And if you have no idea what ketosis is or what we're talking about, I get it, but you need to pause, do a little homework, right? You need to familiarize yourself with these concepts because that's how the keto diet works, is in ketosis. That's how you switch over from burning glucose, burning carbs, to using fat instead as your energy source. I hope I didn't go, whew. But I want to help you with this. We're going to do it one little bite at a time. That's why today I just focused on 6 pieces of bad advice and tried to steer you in the right direction. Trying to give you some different resources that can help you. I mentioned next up, I'm going to link a video about tricks to eat more vegetables. Tricks. Sometimes you got to trick yourself. Tricks to eat more vegetables and the keto diet. I'm offering up, like we said, that prize to some lucky folks that want that food pyramid magnet to put on their fridge so that they're not just eating nuts all day and then wondering, why aren't I losing weight? I ate a whole gallon of nuts. Those are low carb. All sorts of little tricks like that. We are going to help you. I'm going to help you get focused. And I'm going to support you every little step of the way. It doesn't have to be complicated, but we don't want to stress ourselves out and think we have to be perfect, because that is going to backfire and cause way too many problems. So I'm here to support you. I think you can do this. I'm going to cheer you on. I'm going to coach you through the basics. I'm going to direct you. Go here, go here. Here's a good resource. Check this out. Go check this, check this, check this. I'm going to help you go in the right direction, and I'm going to support you and encourage you when you're on the right track. You excited? Yay! Give yourself a round of applause, you guys. I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I know you can do this. Give yourself that support you need by clapping and cheering for yourself and going, yay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, because I know you can.